morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar. My name's Faye. I'm one of the UFI staff working behind the scenes. Before we start, I'd just like to run through a couple of housekeeping items. If you're experiencing any audio problems, please drop us a line in the questions box and we'll respond with some help. There's also an audio instructions document that can be found in the handout section of the control panel. At the end of the webinar, we will also be running a Q&A session, so please feel free to add your questions as we're going along or at the end, and we'll run through those with Louise. I'll now hand over to Louise for the presentation. Thanks, Louise.
Thanks, Faye, and welcome everyone to our week of VocTech UFI grant funding webinar. And as Faye said, how we'll run this, we'll keep cameras off and everybody mute, but please do pop any questions you have in the questions box as we go along. We'll have a session at the end where we'll answer those questions. We'll also email the slides and any of the links we refer to you after the webinar. And as Faye said, if you've got any technical issues at all, please do pop a question in the questions and the team behind the scenes will do everything they can to help you out with those. So kicking off, we're UFI and we're the Voc Tech Trust, and our focus is on how digital technology can help transform adult vocational learning in the UK. In terms of the webinar today, we're going to talk a little bit about UFI, and that's really important if you're thinking of applying to UFI for funding, that you understand our mission and our values and beliefs so that you can consider whether what you're planning to do aligns with our mission. We'll talk a bit about overall our approach to grant funding and then go into a bit more detail about the 2 grant funding calls we are going to run next year, a Voc Tech Seed and a Voc Tech Challenge. I'll talk a bit about our ventures, which is our investment activity, because some people might be interested in hearing a bit about that, and then finish off with some questions. But before we kick off, bit of interactivity. Faye's going to run a quick poll so we can get a sense of who's in the room. We're just lining up the poll now.
Hi, Louise. So we've had 84% of the audience have voted so far. We'll give it just a little while longer in case we get any more votes in. We're up to 90%. So I'm going to close the poll now. And there we have the results.
Strangely, Faye. Oh yes, great. You read them out, that'd be great.
Yeah, 23% of the audience are new to UFI and wanted to find out a bit more. 69% have applied before and wanted to find out dates. And then 8% are just nosy.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, welcome to people who've never applied to UFI before. Great to have you. And hello to people who've applied in the past. Nice to see you again. And I hope the other 8% find out something that interests them. So at UFI, and I think we all are very aware at the moment that there's a real need for more and better workplace skills. And at UFI, we believe that technology can play a key role in enabling people to get the skills and the knowledge they require for work. And that really is the focus of who we are and what we do. And we firmly believe that digital tech, and we call that VocTech, vocational technology, can be a key enabler of a better vocational skills system in the UK. And our focus specifically is on adult vocational skills in the UK, and by adults we mean people who are 16 and above. We have some core beliefs that shape what we think, and you can have a read of these when we share the slides afterwards. We believe that every individual and employer can benefit from the acquisition of new skills, and that everyone should have the opportunity to progress. We believe that VocTech can help provide a really different approach to how we develop the skills we need for work, delivering more flexible and engaging learning and improving outcomes. And we really believe that the best digital technologies and the best solutions are the foundation of a vocational education system. And this results in better outcomes for everybody. And as a charity, we believe in particular that we have a role in supporting the sectors, the locations, the skill levels, geographies, individuals who are not well served by the mainstream. We have 3 core underpinning documents that you can find on our website: our theory of change, our 5-year strategy, learning without walls, and an annual delivery plan. So it's well worth taking a look at those if you're thinking of applying for UFI funding. There we are, some nice pictures from our strategy. So how do we achieve our mission? We provide funding, expertise, and a commitment to innovators in vocational technology. We work really hard to build an active community of people who are really focused and committed to how VocTech can improve outcomes and transform the vocational education system. And that's one of the reasons this year why we've held this week of VocTech, to really stimulate and support our community. And we use our funding to catalyse a change in attitude and focus and investment in VocTech in the UK. So specifically about our grant funding. So our focus is on digital technology. And when we talk about digital technology, we're interested in mechanisms for mass reach rather than specific devices. So we don't fund projects that might want, I don't know, 500 laptops to make available to learners. We're interested in how digital technology as a tool can enable scale and mass reach. And that's because we believe more people need to be able to have the opportunities to develop their skills, and that digital technology offers real opportunities to break down barriers for more learners. However, we don't think that VocTech alone will save us. We have always advocated for the best blended solutions, and we believe that thoughtfully developed and well applied VocTech to real world problems has the potential to transform vocational education. So we're not interested in what we call build it and they will come projects. We're really interested in how tech can be applied to solve real problems in vocational education. So the sorts of things we're looking for, I've touched on this already. So new ideas that have the potential to reach large numbers of learners or users in the longer term. We're really looking for big ideas that could potentially transform vocational learning and cascade across the sector. And we're really interested in projects that bring learning to sectors and communities that are not well served by current provision. In terms of what we mean by new and innovative ideas, this has a number of different approaches. It could be utilising well-established tech in a particular sector or a market in a new or novel way for vocational learners. It could be transferring emerging tech. It could be using and developing something totally new that's cutting edge. Or it could be taking something that works well for one particular group of learners and bringing it to a new audience that isn't well served by mainstream provision. So those of you who've applied to UFI previously, hopefully are well versed on this particular slide. So our focus is on adult vocational learning, and that's post-16 learning. And these are the things that we don't fund. We normally get a question around content. So we do fund the production of content when it is needed to support the particular tool or VocTech idea that's being developed, but we wouldn't fund a purely content project. For example, taking a manual and converting it into an ebook, because there's plenty of opportunities for people to purchase and access ebook technology. We don't fund research projects or degree level studies. We're happy to have applications from organisations which are outside of the UK, and we also understand for many digital tools that if they're cloud-based, for example, beneficiaries outside of the UK could use them, but our focus is totally on how UK learners are going to benefit from the idea that you're developing or promoting. So when you apply to us, you need to be really clear how UK learners are going to benefit. So who can apply? We are open to applications from all sorts of organisations, charities, trade bodies, companies, private sector organisations, colleges, private learning providers. We really do welcome applications from all types of organisations. We don't fund individuals. If you are an individual, you can apply to us for funding, but you would have to become some form of incorporated body to actually receive our funding. So please be aware of that if you were thinking of applying as an individual. What's most important is we're looking to work with organisations who are really committed to our mission and our strategy, and that our funding isn't just something that sort of sits on the side of your organisation. It's really embedded in what you're trying to achieve as an organisation as well. We work hard to give people who are applying to UFI as much support as is kind of practically possible. So we publish our guidelines, and we have frequently asked questions available on our website, and we update those if we get new questions that we hadn't thought about. All of our applications are made online through our new My UFI portal. So if you applied for funding in 2020, you will have applied through the My UFI portal, and that's how you can manage your application, save drafts, make changes, submit it, and track progress. We have case studies and hints and tips which will be published by our community newsletter. So please make sure that you are registered for that if you aren't already. And also we'll run a series of fully online workshops for applicants. This year we won't be understandably holding our face-to-face workshops, but we've developed our online offering so that there are more opportunities for networking, getting feedback there. So our focus at UFI is to give the projects that we support the best chances of success. So our terms and conditions are geared up so the organisations we fund themselves own their IP. We believe that you are best placed to scale your idea if it's successful. However, we do expect you to do something with the innovation if you come up with something that's really great and has got really great potential. We have a model of project account management, so every single organisation we fund has a named contact at UFI to help support and guide through the delivery process. And we offer an enrichment model. So whilst the grant funding we offer is really very, very helpful, the additional support we give in terms of supporting projects to work as cohorts, access to experts, networking and collaboration, we know from our evaluation that most projects find that as useful as the funding itself. So onto the specifics for 2021. We will be running a Voc Tech Seed funding call and also a Voc Tech Challenge fund. So Voc Tech Seed grants of between £15,000 to £20,000 for projects lasting 3 to 12 months in duration. And this is our fund for early stage ideas. And how I best think about this is it's a proof of concept fund, or a fund where if you have a hypothesis or a really good idea, this is where you can apply for funding to have some time and space to test out that spark of an idea. And we really are looking for new, and our emphasis is on new tech and new markets, new communities of learners, and how VocTech can tackle real problems in the vocational sector and create real opportunities. And to be able to do that, we have to take a view on risk, and we're okay with risk, and we look for a balanced portfolio, and we're looking for some ideas which really are creative and create a pipeline of new ideas for the vocational sector. So our funding can be used to support learning design, product development. Really important feature of Voc Tech Seed is small scale testing with users and customers, proof of concept, market research, and if it turns out that the idea that you've developed works and has the potential, we're really interested in supporting the development of strategies so that idea and concept can be scaled once our funding has ended. So we aren't looking at funding projects which just sort of peter out and finish once our funding has ended. We're looking for you to have ambition to be able to take your idea to the next level. So after the webinar, you'll get an email with the slides and a few other things. And please do take a look at our UFI directory if you'd like to get some inspiration and see some of the things we funded in the past. From this, you will draw that we fund a massive diversity of ideas from lots of different organisations. So I encourage you to have a look. And also, if there's somebody who's working on an idea that's similar to yours, or you think there's a connection or somebody you could learn something from, then please do connect with those organisations. The details are in the directory. But a few specific examples of projects we funded with Voc Tech Seed. Flash Academy Workplace. This is really interesting because they took a product that they had that was working really well in schools and used our funding to test it out in a manufacturing environment. So Flash Academy is a web-based learning tool that supports people to develop their workplace vocabulary in all sorts of different ways. But what's interesting there is our funding helped them take it and test it from a school's environment to specifically what that would mean as a workplace tool. Chomp is a app-based game that teaches dental charting skills, and this is really interesting from a number of levels. So it was taking new ways of learning to dental technicians. They tested lots of different approaches to gaming and how games needed to be structured and developed to be able to teach this particular content in a way that improved outcomes and kept learners engaged. And also it's an example of where our funding is taking digital vocational learning to different kinds of learners. So dental technicians are kind of a group of learners that probably maybe wouldn't be a priority for new and innovative ways of learning. Citizen Literacy is an app that's being piloted at the moment by the City of Glasgow College, and what's really interesting from our perspective was the content. So it was really interesting that they were adopting an approach using phonics to help people develop their literacy skills, but how they had blended this with face-to-face courses so that it could support face-to-face and independent learning. So there were lots of interesting angles and perspectives on that project idea that made it interesting for us to fund. And finally, Spotless. Spotless is an infection control game for cleaners in the health and social care sector, and there's some great content online on our website about how this idea had developed. And you know, we all know how important infection control is, and if you don't get infection control right, things can go seriously wrong. So this concept behind here was how to make the training so engaging and so you know, effective that learners were really motivated to learn how to do things well. In the past, the training was traditionally delivered with lots of checklists and quite a dull approach. So they've really taken the concept forward, focusing on delivering engaging learning, but also being really clear about who the user audience is and who the people are who'll be accessing this learning, so it's delivered in an accessible way and an understandable way for the target audience. So there's a few examples, but please do take a look at the directory and you'll be able to see some of the other things we funded. In terms of the process, all applications are made online using our My UFI portal. If you have applied before, please do join one of the seed workshops nearer the time, because we've made some changes to our application process to shorten the time between making an application and getting a decision. And so the application forms are changed a little bit, and we're doing things in a bit of a different way. So stage one is where we want to know about your idea. We want to hear about how it will solve a particular problem in vocational learning and understand why the idea is innovative and how you know no one else is doing it. And if you are successful at stage one, we will invite you to stage two, where you can provide a little bit more detail about your solution and respond to some questions from our assessors. We've also responded to feedback that we've had in the past that people at stage one would like to know why their application hasn't been successful. So if you are not successful at stage one, you will get some personalised feedback. We use external assessors at each stage of the process, and final decisions are made by our trustees. If you're successful, we go through the normal process of contracting and due diligence that you would expect from a charity, and then we agree a plan with you where we agree your funding milestones and work streams and key deliverables for your project. You'll have a dedicated project account manager to work with you, and you'll be invited to join the VocTech community and participate in our cohort workshops and other activities that we support as a cohort. This year we are running our workshops fully online, and you can sign up for a workshop now. We're starting them in January, but if you want to get ahead of the game, they will be a mixture of a bit of presentation and then some opportunities for networking in small groups to be able to engage with other people in the VocTech community and also discuss your ideas with the UFI team. There will be guidance and information online, and also we'll be hosting regular web chats with the UFI team where you can ask questions and get some more information. So you can sign up for an online workshop now. We'll be publishing the guidance 1st of December. In January, we will begin the web chats. We've missed that off this one, sorry about that. The fund opens 11th of January. No, the workshops start the 11th of January. The fund opens the 21st, and stage one closes the 11th of February at 5 o'clock. And then if you're successful, we will let you know on the 3rd of March if you've been invited to stage two. So if you want to stay informed, please do make sure you are signed up to our community newsletter, and the QR code should take you to our webpage where you can sign up for the community newsletter. Follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter using @UFI Trust, but making sure you're signed up to our community newsletter is the easiest way to make sure that you get the news first. So, Faye, over to you for another quick question.
Hi, Louise. So we're just getting some votes in now, up to 70% of the audience.
Very good.
So I'll just give it a little while longer. We're creeping up to 90%. So at the moment, we're looking at 43% saying yes, they have an innovative VocTech idea. 47% are possibly, and 11% no. So I'm just going to close the poll and we'll share that so everyone can see the results. So there we go. Yes, 43%, possibly 47%, and no's are 11%.
Well, thank you for that. Thanks, Faye. So this year we will also be opening a Voc Tech challenge, and this is our opportunity to try things differently and tackle some issues with an open mind. And we use design thinking principles to help shape our program of activity. So we are really exploring what it is that we want to do at the moment, and we'll publish our fund guidelines and timetable in April 2021. And the areas, it's really important that we get lots of feedback and insights into where our funding can be most impactful. So it would be really great if you could engage with us on the process. And the context for the Challenge Fund is that the communities who are not well served by mainstream provision, and these are the communities who really are the focus of our core strategy, are probably at more risk than ever from being excluded from education and training and being able to access employment. And hand in hand with that, employers in all sectors are struggling to find what their new normal is in the face of current restrictions and what it feels like a changing restrictions. So there really are some big challenges that we feel vocational technology can have an impact. So we really believe that VocTech can be part of the solution of the problems of upskilling in the UK workforce, and to tackle some of the challenges around changing business models, greater remote working, remote training or blended training, restricted travel and social distancing, but absolutely with an eye to the communities of learners, which are the focus of UFI's strategy. So we're going to use a process of co-creation to come up with the criteria for whatever we fund and what we do, and we need to involve as many people as possible. And we really are focused on building on what we have learned. It's really easy to keep doing new things, keep piloting new activity, but we want to focus on how we can support the embedding of what we know works, and understanding the barriers to embedding what we know works. We're really focused on drawing on the insights of experts and partners, and we're looking at supporting longer term change in vocational education, not just short-term measures. So we're opening up the process for opportunities to debate and discuss and deep dive into these issues, and then we'll see where UFI and potentially our partners might also be able to use their resources to make change happen. And we aim to bring this thinking together in April 2020. So where we are at the moment is we're beginning this process of engagement and dialogue to really do a good discovery phase and involve as many people as possible in helping us understand what the issues are, to come up with some ideas about how we can use our resources and also the resources of partners to tackle some of these really important problems. So in terms of keeping informed about how you might want to get involved in our discovery, and also know when we're going to announce more detail on what we are going to fund and support, please do make sure, again, you're signed up to our community newsletter. So in terms of UFI Ventures, we thought it'd be good to share some information about these as well. So UFI Ventures is where we invest in companies which develop digital technologies to give people and businesses the skills needed for work now and for the future. So the key difference here is that this is an investment, this isn't a grant, and it is for companies only. And it's early stage seed investment with companies that have the potential to advance our mission and demonstrate market rate returns. And we have a few strategic themes where we focus our UFI ventures. So it's VocTech in sectors that are important to the well-being and prosperity of the UK, VocTech that develops the essential skills that are needed for all work in the future, and VocTech that aligns improved business performance with good outcomes for workers. So we are building a portfolio of around 20 investee organisations, and we currently have 5. We offer between 150,000 to £1 million of funding. We do expect co-investment. There is a flexibility of how we would invest, and similar to our grant funding model, we have a commitment to giving the organisations we support the best chances of success with engagement and peer support and access to expertise. So if you want to connect with our ventures team, we'll also put the links in the email we send out afterwards, but please do connect with our ventures team if you would like to find out more about that aspect of what we do and how we fund organisations. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Maureen, who's been keeping an eye on the questions, and she's going to let me know what the questions are, and we'll pick them out, and I'll have a go at answering them, and I might bring other people from the UFI team in as well to help answer them too. So over to you, Maureen.
Hi, Louise. At the moment, I have not got any questions from the floor, but from past experience, I know when we get to this stage, people, I think you've been very clear, so that always helps. But also, I find that people start getting the questions once we've got to the end. But one that I perhaps have seen asked a lot is around this with Seed, around what we consider to be new. So with Seed, I suppose it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on whether there needs to be some idea of a proof of concept already, or what is the sort of parameters of the new?
Well, Seed really is for the first spark of an idea. So if you have an idea and a prototype that is written on a piece of paper, and you really want to take that to the next stage and develop an early stage digital prototype or that you can alpha test, then that would be absolutely fine. For me, the most important thing is that you have a look at what else is out there. The worst thing you can do is say, this is brand new, no one else is doing it, and then we have a quick Google and it isn't new, and lots of other people are doing it. So we are looking for a mix of ideas. But equally, like the examples I've given, if there's something that's working well and quite well developed in a different sector, the new aspect might be thinking really hard about what you need to change to see if it works in a vocational setting. So it could mean a range of different things, but we're happy with newness. What you need to do is make sure that it is new.
Yeah. No, I think you made that point really clear. Now I have some more questions from the floor now, Louise. So I will go ahead with the first one from Caroline. Are you more likely to fund people that have not been funded in the past? So are we specifically looking to fund people that haven't been funded in the past?
We are, whether you've applied for funding in the past or not, doesn't really have a bearing. What we're really interested in is the quality of your idea, and that's our focus. So seed is where we're really interested in the quality of the idea, the real spark of an idea, and we really do want to have some really very innovative ideas in the mix. So so don't worry if you've applied to us before, don't worry if you haven't applied to us before. What we're interested in is the quality of your idea. I don't know if that answers your question or not. If it doesn't, pop another one in the chat, in the question.
So I suppose the point is that it's not really, we're not more or less likely depending on whether you've applied before. It's just dependent on the idea. But yes, Caroline, like Lou said, if you have anything further to add on that, please feel free to add to the questions box. Louise, I have another question from Paul. Can you elaborate about not supporting entrepreneurship or enterprise? I think this is around the section of things we don't fund. So
yeah, of course. So we don't fund business support or the skills you might need to set up and run your business, for example. We have supported some activity that is focused on a creative mindset, but it has been around soft skills and soft skills development that we know are required for the the changing nature of work in the 21st century. But fundamentally, we don't fund business support, coaching or mentoring to set up a business, those sorts of things.
Thank you, Louise. And so Paul, yeah, if you have any further questions on that, feel free to add in the chat. Aside from that, Louise, I'm getting some thank yous about how clear the presentation has been, actually. It sounds like you've kind of answered most people's burning questions in the actual presentation, so we're not getting that many through here. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to put it in the question box. Usually when I start to say let's wrap it up, that's when a few more come in. But yeah, I think, Louise, if you're
fab,
if we're not having any more, I think we can wrap it up.
No, that's great, and thank you. This is a taster for what's to come, and please do sign up to webinars. I can't say workshops, the webinars, the online workshops, and our community newsletter, and then we can keep in touch. So just to summarise, Voc Tech Seed, that's our up to £50,000, and there's the timeline there. So please do, if you want to, you can sign up for a workshop now. Our challenge fund, we're going to be inviting people to get involved in lots of different ways in helping scope the focus and the specifics of that call, which we will be sharing in April. And our ventures are open at any time, so please do contact the ventures team if you want to find out more.
Louise,
yes.
Before we wrap up, so now I've had a follow-up question from Paul.
Fantastic.
So, what about online platforms that support enterprise to develop skills? So I think it's not necessarily about developing entrepreneurship skills. It seems it's about supporting bigger organizations. Paul, please correct me if I've misunderstood the question, but this is about enterprise size organizations rather than entrepreneurship skills. So what about online platforms that support enterprise to develop skills?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fine. We're really interested in how VocTech can support businesses of all shapes and sizes to develop their skills, and we know that for some organisations that presents big challenges. What we would want to know is how you really know that this meets the needs of your users, and how it might be different or novel to anything else that's in the market. Hopefully we've cracked it, but if not, you can pop us another question.
So Paul has put in another clarification, Louise. So online training programs that support growth of businesses that then helps employment.
What you need to be really clear about is what vocational skills. So our focus is on adult vocational skills. So general growth, business growth support and business advice would be kind of out of scope. Our focus was more, let's give an example. So we know team leaders in manufacturing settings, for example, need to build and develop their skills, and in building and developing the skills of team leaders, your business will become more productive and more successful, hopefully. So that would be an example where a platform that supports business growth would work. But if it's a platform whose focus is entirely on business growth, then that would probably be out of scope for grants. It might be something that ventures were interested in. We probably need to, the best thing to do is probably, so I appreciate your questions, very specific, come along to one of the workshops where you'll have more of an opportunity to kick around the ideas with more people in the UFI team. It's quite tricky in the chat function to make sure we really understand what you're meaning, but hopefully that answer has also helped you understand a bit more.
Louis, so it's absolutely, the next question is spot on about that. So I have another question from Hillary, which is, will there be a chance to talk to UFI one-to-one about my idea, like there has been at workshops, given now that it's a digital format?
Yeah, unfortunately, this year we're not going to be able to offer one-to-ones in a digital format. We're going to do it in small groups and breakouts, but we think that will really add value as well, because we know when people have come to our workshops, the value and opportunity to talk about an idea in a small group or with other people who are thinking about developing VocTech ideas is really useful. So we won't be having one-to-ones, but we will be having small group discussions and networking where these themes and issues can be explored.
Thank you, Louise. I have some more thank yous coming in. I have another question here from Joe. Does the funding have to be spent within a certain time frame? And this is for the Challenge Fund.
Yeah, that's a very good question. We don't know the answer to that yet because we are genuinely beginning a process of discovery. I would imagine that there will be some parameters around the timescale just to help us with our budgeting, but we really want to make sure we use our resources to tackle well understood and problems, and to use our funding in the most effective way. So I am working very hard to keep a very, very open mind so that we can be as effective as we possibly can with our resources. So probably doesn't help you at all. That's a long way of saying I don't know at the moment.
Louise, perhaps you should answer that for Seed. There is a time frame, isn't it? We can just confirm that.
Yeah, Seed is up to 12 months. Voc Tech Seed.
So I have another question now from Ian. VocTech bids supported COVID-focused bids. Will this be the case for the Seed bids? So
no, it's not a specific. Yes, it's a good question. So it's not a specific COVID response call. It may well be that there are applications which tackle vocational skills issues that have arisen and are arising as a result of COVID. But this isn't a COVID response call. We're open to all ideas and issues from all sectors and all perspectives. But if your project was focused on something that had arisen as a result of COVID, it would. I can't remember how you described it last time, Maureen. It would neither help nor hinder.
I have another question, Louise, now from Claire. And Claire asks, how do we get involved in the conversation around the Challenge Fund?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is to make sure you are signed up to our community newsletter, and very soon there will be opportunities and invitations to be part of different activities and things that we've got planned. So please do make sure you're signed up to the community newsletter. That is the channel we will be using to engage and let people know how they can get involved.
Thank you very much, Louise. I have no further questions from the floor at the moment. But like I say, usually as I start to say goodbye and let's wrap up, there's some flurry of questions coming in. So I think, no, it feels like everyone's asked what they needed to for now. So shall we wrap up then, Louise? We can, that's very helpful. You've got the newsletter up there.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining. I hope you found it really useful. Thanks also to my colleagues in the UFI team for managing the tech and the questions and the poll. You'll get an email with the slides and also a couple of questions, so you can give us some feedback. Please do stay in touch, keep informed, follow us on social media, register for our newsletter. And also, if you have any kind of specific questions, you can email info@ufi.co.uk. So thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.